So, Tacona Polly is watching on YouTube and says, Rod, I got a question. Why no CFL bubble in the Maritimes similar to the one the soccer league pulled off? All begins and ends with money. And our content director, Nelson, wrote us and said that Vernon Adams posted a video here this morning of a bunch of Alouettes working out an unsanctioned workout. We saw Shaq Evans last week, the Rough Riders wide receiver, saying that they're being asked to participate in meetings, virtual meetings with their coaching staff here in advance of the season. And we're waiting to hear at any point today, maybe tomorrow, that the CFL governors have voted to postpone the start of the training camps vis-a-vis the season. Somebody wrote in here earlier and said, what was the question? What's the difference between a CFL owner and a governor?
Yeah.
The owner owns the team. The governor is a volunteer position. The governor has far less skin in the game than the CFL owners. That's why the governors, quite frankly, rotate like a merry-go-round quite often in the Canadian Football League. But the owners are the ones that are here forever. And you would hope they would be here forever. As I stated a few weeks ago, it was a conversation I had in the press box at Rogers Centre 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was whenever David Braley owned two teams. Think about that. The Argos and the Lions. And I can't remember who said it to me. But he said, this league is a heartbeat away from folding. And he's like, looked over at Braley. I'm like, no, I know. When Braley's goes, this league goes. And here we are. So back to the bubble situation. Obviously, I love Arash. And here's the nice thing about Arash. He's very liberal thinking. I'm very right-wing conservative thinking. And we have these discussions. Normally, we don't raise our voices and we're still friends. And we hang up. Okay, chat soon, bud. You can do that.
Oh, yeah.
So we have different views on the world. But, when he said that he thinks that Redbird Capital, the company that now owns the XFL, could fund the CFL's return to play this year, got everybody all excited. And I said to him, or not to him, I think I wrote it in my column on the weekend. I said, if they were such heroes and such saviors, why don't they pay for a bubble? Then they could actually play like all these other leagues that are playing in empty stadiums and without fans or in bubbles, however you want to do it. If they were such heroes, they'd write the check now. So I don't believe that story from Arash. Doesn't mean I hate Arash. Doesn't mean I'm calling the head of Sportsnet to get him fired. Jesus. But I'm really thinking they're not going to play. And to go back to points 2 and 3 from the quick 6 an hour ago, CFL Board of Governors meeting today to vote on delaying the season. What do you need to vote about? The delay is elementary. Of course, that's happening. The question is, are you playing? They do everything so back-asswards.
It would be borderline impossible to pull off a season on time.
It's not going to happen
right now. It would be borderline impossible. It's not impossible because players could show up to training camp tomorrow. It wouldn't be good. They wouldn't agree to it. They wouldn't be into that. But yeah, this is a vote about nothing.
This is a vote about nothing today. This isn't even news.
That's right.
And if you go through Arash's Twitter timeline, he had a thing where what the CFL should announce coming out of this Board of Governors meeting is this. But they won't. They've got a problem with communication strategy, and that is not a shot at the communications department of the Canadian Football League, because from what I understand, recommendations have been made to the leaders as to how to massage the message, and they're not interested in it. They want to push their own message. That's the word that I'm getting. So it's not a shot at the PR and media relations and communications people in the CFL office, whomever's left. The owners are like, hold my beer. Sheesh. And look what we have.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, my third point was, just when I frankly was ready to move on in a lot of regards, look towards the Stanley Cup playoffs, the NFL drafts next week, some of the other Canadian Football League media has risen up. Jeff Hamilton in Winnipeg, for instance, from the Free Press, saying this is a bunch of BS. If you want to know why Canadians are upset, it's because they have no idea what's going on with the Canadian Football League, and the only information we get is through TSN. And he's for good reason. He's trying to cover the damn league, and nobody will give him any information. Of course he's mad. I'm surprised it took this long. And then you got Dan Barnes up in Edmonton with the Edmonton Journal, who I respect. I respect both those guys as like hardcore journalistic guys. I'm more tabloid guy, right? We're having coffee, shooting the spit around here. These guys are newspaper writers, old school. And Dan Barnes came out with a report yesterday that at least one team's owners, maybe more, if I have this right, believes they can go 2 years without playing and still survive. This goes back to the horrible message. I don't know about you, but for the person that I worked for, I would prefer to thrive than just survive or show some sack and go down swinging. At least we're going to play on behalf of our players and our staff and for the fans, for the good of this league. But no, what is pinch and save? And for all those coaches and players that now, well, they'll be on CERB now to the end of September. Thank you, Justin. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And you wonder why the league has the image that it has, and they get mad at us banging on them all the time for just pointing out the obvious. There's my monologue. You look like you've been ready to jump in on several things there.
But it's right. And, we talked about it in a break, but really, what is the CFL going to do? And you said, they talked about, 2 seasons not playing. Can the CFL survive? And we don't even know if they can survive 1 season. They're not dead, but they're in a coma. The league's in a coma, right? It's on life support. We don't know if it's alive, technically. We haven't written the time of death yet, but we don't know if they're going to come out of the coma or not, right? Yeah. And we hope that they aren't going to play. But the longer it goes on, just like being in a coma, the longer you're in it, the less the odds are going down every day.
Oh, yeah. And so I'm bringing in the viewers. That's what we do here. We got plenty of time to do it in the second half kickoff. And I'll say again, Bryn Griffiths coming up and his trusty sidekick, Robin Brownlee from the Outsiders podcast in Edmonton. They're going to have a lot of juicy tidbits. And to Bryn's credit, he's got some pretty good sources too. Speaking of journalists and old school, he was the guy that said at least one. He's the guy that broke the news that at least one CFL team doesn't want to play. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
About a month ago?
Yep.
And he said the XFL isn't even interested in all CFL franchises. So we'll be picking the boys' brains on that. From our viewers, William May says community-owned teams probably couldn't survive 2 years unless they had a deep pocket. John in Edmonton says, Rod, what's going to happen to the city-owned teams like Edmonton? They're going to go bankrupt. That's what's going to happen. From Tacona Polly on YouTube says the CFL is turning loyal fans away. NCAA is best ball out there. That's a matter of opinion. And I don't understand. This is the dumbest thing ever. I think it's just a football thing. But I will watch NHL, AHL, ECHL, WHL, Junior A, under 18.
Doesn't matter.
Not bitch. Why does it have to be a one versus the other scenario? Why does it have to be? I see this Don Muir wrote in here earlier. Where's Donnie? In Winnipeg. And he says, Rod, what did you think of the NHRA on the weekend? The 4 wide. The 4 wide, Darren. That was in Las Vegas. I was watching it, the National Hot Rod Association. Can't remember where his comment is here, but I enjoyed it. This isn't Hot Rod Central right now, but I'll tell you, I particularly enjoyed the packed stands there in Las Vegas. I'm like, what year is this? Oh, it's live? What? They got a full crowd in Vegas for hot rods? Cool. I think going back to hour one when I said the CFL owners and a lot of the CFL leaders, I trust me they do because I saw it front and center firsthand. They operate in a vacuum. I'll say it again. They just sit around and talk to themselves. That's what it seems like to me. They have no idea what's going on outside that vacuum. And I know because I've been in the vacuum. They're not even aware of how they're perceived. They're not even aware of the outside world. And that whole idea of, do you remember a year ago when I said if they don't play, they're going to be forgotten? A year ago? Do you remember that? No, Rod, that's not a thing. You're damn right it's a thing, and that's where you're at. Actually, you wanted to jump in with a comment on, the jury's still out on if the CFL even survived not playing last year. Forget about this year. And you had a point on that.
Well, that was the coma comment, right? I mean, that's where they are. They're in that, and will they survive? And the teams, we talked about the teams are all going to survive. There's going to be football teams in all of those stadiums. whether it's CFL, whether it's XFL, whether it's NFL Canada, whether it's Continental Football League, whether it's something that we've never even brought up yet, one of those things, there will be a team in Saskatchewan, in Regina, at Mosaic Stadium. There'll be a team in Winnipeg. There'll be a team in Ottawa.
I know, but I'm getting tired of this. I'm not you, but William in Lloydminster says a true fan will hang in there no matter what, good or bad. Yes, William, but there's not enough of you. That is the point. It's not enough to keep this league in business and the lights on. There isn't enough of you. And their cost of doing business is far too expensive. What is a true fan? I'd like to think I'm a true fan, but you know what? I'm also like everybody else in the public that I'll just follow the light. Oh, National Hot Rod Association? I'm in. This is exciting. Auto, whatever. Like it not good for you. There's not enough of you. There's more of me.
It's why at Christmas time or New Year's, we'll watch Archon versus Appalachian State in some slack bowl game somewhere that we've never seen or heard of anybody on the field because we love the game and it's on TV and the production of television's really good and they make it entertaining. You know, and we do the same thing with hockey. And the fans will do the same thing in football. You know, it might look a little different, but
they're just stomping
when you can go down and put your watermelon head on, it's going to be the same experience.
From James in Manitoba, can you imagine if this merger does not work? Lots of brand new empty stadiums that are not paid for. We'll leave it there and put it on our next guest. That and more when we come back, okay? The Outsiders joining us next from Edmonton, the City of Champions. You're watching the RP Show on Game Plus TV Network, YouTube, and Facebook Live, and 24-hour sports talk streaming for Suds Full Service Car Wash at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.